WW1 Interactive is our company. It's myself and my partner Tara. We cover a wide variety of things, everything from graphic design to brochure design to web design, mobile app development, even video production. Just want to give you just a quick background so you know where we're coming from. Between the two of us, we have approximately 25 years of experience in multimedia marketing. What does that mean, multimedia marketing? It includes radio, web, video, and app development experience, as well as graphic design and print. So what we're going to talk about today is marketing to multiple screens. You know that everybody has one of these nowadays. And they have one of these. iPad, tablet, Android tablet, Windows phones. Everybody nowadays seems to have one. So what we need to do as business owners is recognize that fact and market to each and every one of those different screens. So what we're going to talk about today is responsive design. You may have heard this term, responsive design. We're going to talk about that. We're going to define it and what it means to your business and your website. We'll talk about the benefits of responsive design. And then, I don't know about most of you, but I'm a numbers guy. I like to see statistics. I like to see why people are doing a certain thing, so to look at trends. So we'll go over that. Interesting fact that there are more mobile devices on Earth than there are people. And that number is continuing to grow. So responsive design, what is it? We can look at Webster and understand it's an adjective that says reacting or in a desired or positive way, quick to react or respond. Think of that definition and how it applies to your website. So your website responding to the different screens. As you can see here, we have an iPhone, or it could be an Android phone, your PC or your Mac, and of course your tablet. And the important thing with that is that it all has to happen quickly, seamlessly, and easy for the user. So what does that mean? Responsive on all these different screens. One website to many devices, but optimized for those devices. And what do I mean optimized for those devices? Well, if you go to your website, which we're going to do in a moment, and it requires you to pinch, stretch, or zoom in your website, it is not optimized. An optimized website for mobile or tablet use does not require any pinching, zooming in. If you have to sit there with your phone like this in order to read a web page, it's not optimized. So just a little participation thing, if you have your smartphone with you, go to your company's website right now and see if you have to do any of these items. How many here actually tried it? So, yeah.
I already know mine's response. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. As some of you, I did some homework ahead of time and checked a few of your websites out. And yes, several of you did have responsive design already in place. And for that, I applaud that, because you're already one step ahead of where you need to be as far as your web design. The old way of looking at mobile was to build a completely separate mobile website and then redirect people to that mobile website. That's not responsive. That's a redirect. And the important thing with all this, and why I bring it up, is the fact that it has to be a one-to-many without any redirects and go right to the device without having to have separate websites. So for example, this is one of our clients, 3dmybaby.com. They're a new business here in Barnegat. And they hired us to develop their website. And one thing that they said to us that was very important for their customers was to be mobile friendly. They didn't necessarily know the term responsive, but what they wanted was a responsive website. So we only built this website once. But because we built it with a responsive mentality, it automatically changes based upon the device you're looking at it on, but no redirects. We only built the website once. The other advantage of that is that when you're managing content, I don't know how many of you manage the content on your website, and if you have a CMS that handles all your content, in the old method of having a separate mobile site, in some cases you may actually have to maintain separate content for mobile as opposed to for PC. With this, we're loading the content in once, and it's going to all devices. So let's talk about some more benefits of responsive. And if you're not targeting those mobile users, you may be isolating potential customers. So we take a lot of our cues from Google. You'll hear me mention Google, Google, Google. And yeah, of course, there are other search engines like Bing and Yahoo. And you know why they call it Bing, right? Where they got the name? It's an acronym because it's not Google. Yeah. But we do bow to the Google gods, mainly because they have 67% of the search market share. So if Google says something is important, we listen. So Google says the benefits of responsive design are saving you money because you're not isolating customers by having a separate mobile presence. Saves you time because you're not putting the content in twice. Improves your SEO. How many here have somebody working on your SEO? Does that term sound familiar? SEO, search engine optimization. Some of you may have somebody doing that for you. If you're running a separate mobile presence, that person has to do everything twice. And then Google sees two separate entities, your website and your mobile website. When it really comes down to, in this fragmented market, you need to have one message, one website, simple. And Google, when they look at your website, they're looking at performance, they're looking at how many pages it takes to get to content, and Google wants to serve up what they call viable content. And by viable, they don't mean duplicate links and titles that don't match the content that you're looking for. So by having one message, it makes it easier for the user and also for Google to crawl it. So Google calls responsive design an industry best practice. And it's an interesting quote because Google actually did come under fire because of this. Because a lot of website owners were like, what do you mean? Google is now making this industry standard for responsive design. But when you weigh the benefits, it makes sense. And I expect moving forward, you're going to see Google changing some of their protocols on how they search your websites to be specifically looking for responsive design. So it's more efficient for Google to crawl it. One site, one SEO campaign. Great user experience across many devices and screens. So if somebody is listening to the radio, I hope they are because I like radio listeners, and they hear an ad and they go to your website from their phone. Hopefully they pulled over before going to this. Now they may remember your website and then go home and look at that same website on their PC. You want that experience that they had on the phone to transfer to their PC seamlessly, or transfer to their tablet seamlessly, to where when they get to it, they're not like, this isn't the site I was on. This doesn't look like the same business. So you don't want to confuse the listener, the viewer of your website. And again, it's easier for users to share content. If content is on a mobile site and content is on your main website and somebody goes to share it on Facebook, you may actually isolate some users who go to click on your link if it is only for mobile, or if it is only for PC and they can't view it on the phone. So now this is where we get into the fun stuff. This is the stuff that keeps me up at night, not in a bad way. Gets me excited about the industry that we're in. So these are just some numbers, and I know it's a little dark, so I'm not sure if you can make out the numbers, but we're just looking at 2011, 2012, 2013, how many people actually own a smartphone. So, if we put so much of an emphasis on this, well, how many people are actually out there using these devices? So you can see in 2013, the number of smartphone users actually jumped to 56% of all phone users, up from 35% just 2 years before. So they expect that 2014 will obviously grow beyond that exponentially. Just a little tidbit of trivia, the average age for a person having their first cell phone, 13. Of course, I'm probably the one that skewed that lower because my son got his first phone at 10. So let's look at some percentages. 50% of the average global mobile web users are now using their smartphone as their primary exclusive means of going online. What does that mean? They're not waiting till they get home to get on their computer to search something about your business. If they see a billboard, they see an ad in the newspaper, they see a bumper sticker on somebody's car with a QR code. They're not waiting till they get home to look up that information. They're right there with their phone. My wife is a prime example of this. She has a laptop, she barely uses it. And it's only for when she needs to do business work. If she's going to search the web, she's there with her phone. Where is she with her phone? Sitting in front of the TV. And that's right there. 80% of smartphone owners and 81% of tablet owners use their device in front of the television. This would also apply using it while reading newspapers now. How many here have heard of QR codes? Have you used QR codes? Okay. Excellent. QR codes are pretty much your way of taking something that's non-digital and turn it into digital. So if you're doing print advertising, you're doing brochures, you're doing even signage in your own business, and we'll get into that in a little bit, it has a huge benefit to include a QR code in what you're doing. Then 80% of consumers plan to conduct mobile commerce in the next 12 months. These stats are from a company called Super Monitoring, and what they do is their prime focus is monitoring web usage and device usage. So that's where all this numbers are coming from. So this one I thought was quite interesting. 57% of users say they won't recommend a business with a poorly designed mobile website. Again, going back to that first stat, if they're going to your site from a mobile device, I know recently my wife was looking for a gym, and she wanted a place that she could, bring the kids and have daycare and go to the gym and do some classes. And so she sees the sign on the outside of the store, tries to Google them, no website, not even a listing online in Google or any of the local.com or Yelp. Very disappointing. Needless to say, she didn't go to that gym because they made a huge mistake. So a poorly designed website can hurt you, but a poorly designed mobile website nowadays can really hurt you. So 41% of people have used a mobile device to browse for a product or service after seeing it in an advertisement. I do this all the time. I was actually in Best Buy last night looking at a camera, and I couldn't get the information I wanted right there on the floor. I got on my phone right there in the store. And that's another thing that we're going to talk about is in-store use. But the other interesting thing is that tablets have made it way too easy for everything because it fits in my hand. They've actually gotten smaller. This is my iPad 2. They've gotten a lot smaller, half the size of this. I can sit in front of the TV. I can, buy some music. I can order a new stove for my kitchen. I could design my entire kitchen right here on my iPad if I wanted to. So you're finding now that 72% of tablet owners will make a purchase from their device on a weekly basis. That means they're probably doing their shopping. You see now places like ShopRite doing the shop at home. They're probably sitting there right on their tablet, not even getting up from the couch. Unfortunately, we don't encourage that couch potatoism, but it is pretty much where the trend is. So let's look at another graph because I like pictures as well as numbers. And there are places where people tend to use their phones most. So what we're looking at here is a breakdown of places or commercial venues where people use their phones. So are they using their phone in a retail establishment? I like that number over there. 31% are using their phones inside a retail establishment. Service, if you're a landscaper, contractor, 19% of people are actually using their phone to search information while in your business. Restaurants and cafes, 19%, and even financial. They're in the bank, they're in the credit union, and they're searching information, they're checking their account, or looking for a better interest rate. Whatever the case may be, they're using their phones in your place of business. That segues right into what I really wanted to give you as a takeaway. Because I can get up here and I can preach to you what you should be doing, and you may say, well, I'm already responsive. I'm already doing that. That's great. And like I said, we applaud that. But what are you doing to take it the next step? What are you doing to set yourself apart? And I have two examples here, and hopefully you can make them out. But this picture is taken from Home Depot. The second picture is from IHOP. I took these pictures. They're not stock photos. This was to scan for more information about paver stones for my sidewalk. This was just sitting waiting for my food at IHOP on the placemat. Now, I'm sitting there or walking through a store. How many people like to talk to people in a store? If you're focused, you've got your business, you don't want to talk to a rep unless you're really outgoing and you like to talk to everybody. But I used to be more of an introvert and didn't like talking to people. So I would look for information around the product I'm looking for in the store without talking to somebody. Well, nowadays this is designed for the introvert who just wants to scan it, and so this is something that you can be doing right now. That if you have a retail service, any business for that matter, that people come into your door, you're missing an opportunity for them to learn more information about you. So in this case, I could get more information on the paver stones, and when I scanned that code, it gave me information about the product. It showed me demonstration videos on how to install it. It showed me a list of all the other products I'm going to need to finish my project. So something like that, you can be directing them to your mobile site, directing them to a video. Maybe there's some new event you've got coming up. You can use the QR code in your business to then drive them to that. In IHOP, it was so simple. All it was, the QR code brought you to their affinity club. So to sign up for their newsletter. And now I get IHOP coupons like crazy in my email. But the point is, if that was your business, you'd want to be sending out emails to all these people. And how easy is it for you to harvest email addresses to build your database? It's just one extra opportunity. And by putting a QR code, you're giving that extra opportunity for a person to, again, know your brand, engage with your product, and inevitably spend money, hopefully. So here are just some examples of things that you can do with QR codes in your place of business. And I use QR codes. Why? Because they're easy. Everybody is starting to know what they are. A lot of phones are coming out now with QR code readers already on them. So it's become, if I can steal Google's language, an industry standard to some respect. QR codes started in Asia as a way for auto manufacturers, parts manufacturers, to track parts. So it was a very sophisticated way of using barcodes. It, of course, then had other applications, could be used in marketing. It later went to Europe, where they started using it. Some advertisements in Europe were nothing but a QR code up on the screen. That's it. Now, the US typically is slow to adopt new things like that. So it took a little longer to catch on in the US. But now, you can't open a magazine without there being a QR code. And I know for a while Microsoft had their little colored barcode for a while. That kind of phased out because QR codes have become the standard for things. So what can you do with them? Make it easy for your customers to do comparison shopping. Because they're going to do it anyway, so you might as well just make it easier for them. Coupons. I mean, come on. Give them a discount because they scanned your code. Product reviews, additional information. Now, here's another interesting thing that they're going to their mobile phones for. Not necessarily something that you would provide them, but another reason why they're using their phone in your establishment is because they want to know what their friends said about your business. So they're going to be getting on Facebook and messaging whoever's online saying, hey, how is this business? Is WW1 Interactive anything good? So they're going to be getting that right on their phone while they're waiting to talk to you in your own business. And then being able to conduct commerce on these mobile devices. So if you are a business that can handle retail or exchange of monies through your website, it should be made easy for mobile users. You should not be segmenting your audience or isolating members of your audience. So you should make sure that every part of it is indeed friendly for all devices. Very famous web designer Brad Frost says, mobile users will do anything and everything that desktop users will, provided it's presented in a usable way. Those of you that already have responsive websites, it's great. You've got the first step. Next step is to what can you do with more of those. If you don't have a responsive website, it's something that I think you should consider. Does it work for every business? Is it necessary for every business? No, it really isn't. It really depends on your audience and who you're targeting. But again, it's a Google industry standard that is going to become more and more prevalent as we move forward. So that's pretty much all the nuts and bolts. So I'd like to open it up to any questions that anybody may have regarding this or their websites. Any questions? All those numbers and no questions? All right. Well, we'll be around at the end of the meeting. If anybody thinks of something that didn't come up, this is our contact information. If you do have any questions, we're happy to guide you, give you some information if you saw something here that you really weren't sure about. And keep in mind, there are no stupid questions. It's new technology. It changes on a daily basis. So it doesn't matter if you're asking something that you may think is silly. We live and breathe and eat this stuff. Not everybody does. So, George?
Can a QR code link from the Facebook post?
Yes, there are some ways of programming things like that. Yes, it can be brought right to, it would be something as simple as a splash page on your website that would direct them to that, and it would say, here, post to Facebook. Yeah, something like that. QR codes can actually link to just about anything. A web address, a phone number, a V card. So if you've got business cards, and we're actually in the process of revamping our cards to include our QR code right on the back of it, because if somebody has a smartphone, they can scan that QR code and instantly add all your contact information right to their address book without doing anything extra. But yes, that totally can be done. Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, I'll turn it back over to Cord.